The first time that Bridget and I actually cooked together on TV, about 14 years ago or so, we made tacos.
Beef tacos is one of those things, when you're a kid, they taste great.
They come out of a box.
They do. They have kits for them.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
right. So we're going to make our own. I'm going to put you in charge in just a minute.
All
here.
right, I love frying. And still today, that recipe is one of my all-time faves and usually appears at my house on Tuesdays. But today, Bridget has a new recipe for us, tacos dorados.
We had so much fun making that episode. Do you remember that?
I do. We were 12.
Yeah, exactly. But that did involve creating fried taco shells. So you take the corn tortilla, you fry them one at a time. It's a labor of love. Nothing wrong with that.
And they're delicious.
They are incredibly delicious. Worth it if you have the time. But what happens if you just want to get stuff onto the table faster? So this one is more straightforward. We're going to be able to fry 6 at a time.
Ooh.
Yeah. So we're making a ground beef version. Now, we've seen a lot of tacos dorados out there that have leftover stew meat that's shredded and added, or chicken. You can make this with just about anything. This is 90% lean ground beef, 12 ounces, 3/4 of a pound. Now, this usually comes from the sirloin area, the 90% lean beef, so it's got great beefy flavor. Doesn't have a lot of fat. So we want to make sure that it does not dry out. So we're going to use the old baking soda trick.
Ah, this is a new trick of ours, but we're using it all over the place whenever you use ground meat because it helps keep ground meat moist.
It sure does. So this is a tablespoon of water I'm going to place in this bowl, along with a 1/4 teaspoon of baking soda. Basically, it's an alkali, so it's going to change the pH of the meat so that the meat will not only attract water more, it'll hold on to it. And it's not a lot of water and baking soda in there. I'm just going to toss it. I'm going to set that aside. Now, let's get over to our skillet just for a moment. This is a tablespoon of vegetable oil. If you wouldn't mind turning the burner onto medium there.
Got it.
We're just going to look for that oil to heat up and start to shimmer because we're going to cook onions. And a lot of people will ask, how do I safely chop an onion? It's that horizontal cut people are really afraid to do. So I'm going to show you what I'm going to do here. Cut off the tip, cut right through the root in half. Peel off the peel and that first little layer that's always weird and gummy. And
Yep.
I'm just going to cut this whole thing in half again, so now I have quarters. And you can take this off if you prefer. We want this finely chopped. So I'm going to space my vertical cuts pretty close together. And then instead of going horizontal, I'm just going to flip this guy over and make vertical cuts again. And now I'll just cut right across. So into the pan it goes. Bench scraper makes easy work of getting them over to the pan. So that looks good. And we'll cook these, again, over medium heat. We're not looking for a lot of browning. We just want that onion to soften and start to turn color a little bit. And that's going to take about 4, maybe 6 minutes. The onions are softened, just starting to turn a little color there. Let's add our spices. We're putting a 1/4 cup of dried spices in here. We're not opening up a little packet. You really want to control what's going into your pan. This is so good. This is 1½ tablespoons of chili powder, and we have 1½ tablespoons of paprika. We have 1½ teaspoons of dried cumin, 1½ teaspoons of garlic powder, and 1 teaspoon of plain old table salt. Now I'm going to stir this around and really just blooming those spices in the leftover oil from the pan.
This is lovely.
All right, that smells brilliant. Now, 2 tablespoons of tomato paste. What we want is for the raw tomato flavor to dissipate. So we're going to cook this for another 1, maybe 2 minutes. That is looking good, and you see that tomato paste has deepened in color. A lot of flavor in that pan. All right, so now we can add the meat. Again, it's 12 ounces. So I'm just going to toss this together and really break up any large pieces of the meat. What we're looking for here is not to completely cook it through. We just want to cook it until the meat is no longer pink. About 5, maybe 7 minutes. Doesn't that look good? This needs to come out of the skillet. We did not want the filling to be too crumbly. We wanted it to be cohesive. And what is nature's glue? Cheese.
Cheese.
Yes, this is a 1/2 cup or 2 ounces of grated cheddar cheese. You want to use something like a mild cheddar here that has lots of moisture. So I'm going to toss this together with the hot beef mixture. That cheese is going to start to melt. It doesn't have to be orange cheese. You can use a yellow cheese or a white cheese.
I have a soft spot in my heart for orange cheese.
I do too. You can see as it melts in there, it's creating a more cohesive mixture. So meat filling done, let's talk about tortillas. Now we're using 12 6-inch corn tortillas. They get filled and folded. Before we do that, we want to make sure that they're more pliable. If we tried to fold these right now, probably half of them would break in half. So we're going to make them more supple. This is 2 tablespoons of vegetable oil. And I'm going to brush these tortillas both sides, then shingling them on the rimmed baking sheets. All right, so I'm gonna do the remaining 7, layer them on this baking sheet. Now these are going to go into a 400-degree oven. They're just gonna stay in there until they're pliable and warm. That's gonna take about 5 minutes. It smells like masa.
It does.
Yeah. So you can see these are wobbly and nice and pliable, also very, very hot, and I want to keep them hot. So I'm going to stack them in one corner. We're going to fill these one at a time with our cheesy beefy filling. Just on one side, we're going to use 2 tablespoons. You don't want to overfill these. I'm going to take the other side and just fold it over. Now, as you can see, the ends are still open. We're not going to seal them shut, but that top layer is definitely sticking to that cheesy filling. So we're going to continue with the rest of these, filling and folding, folding and filling. I also need to turn the oven down to 200 degrees at this point because we're going to use it as a warming oven. And then we can start cooking. Look what teamwork can do. Teamwork makes the dream work. All right, these are ready to fry. Now what I have here is my skillet, wiped it out. I've got a 1/4 cup of vegetable oil. It's shimmering now. It's been heating over medium-high heat. We're gonna cook 6 of these at a time. We want to add them with the open side away from us. Any moisture that's in the little tacos, well, we want that to pop away from us.
And obviously that's a 12-inch skillet, because if you used a smaller skillet, you wouldn't be able to fit 6 tacos in a batch.
Exactly. Now, I need to check this heat. If it's sizzling like that, that's a great sign. If it wasn't doing a lot of sizzling, that means that the tortillas are actually soaking up the oil. So these are gonna cook on this first side for about 2 to 3 minutes.
All right.
I'm gonna check this first one that I put in and get a look at the color.
Oh.
All right, so now, the safest way to turn these, I'm gonna take my tongs and just start flipping it, then use the spatula to finish the way.
Kind of flipping
catches it.
catch.
Exactly. We're gonna cook them on that second side, again, another 2 to 3 minutes, regulating the temperature as necessary. Now, once these are done, I'm gonna pull them out over here onto a paper towel-lined wire rack, set over a rimmed baking sheet. These are going to go into the warming oven, again, 200 degrees, and wait for us to cook the other 6 tacos the exact same way. Take a look at the second batch.
Those look incredible.
Beautiful color. We're done with cooking. All I have to do now is blot these with a paper towel right on top. I'm not smushing them, just to get rid of any excess oil. How many tacos would you like?
Yes. How about we'll start with 2.
All right.
As an appetizer.
A little bit of lettuce in there.
Yep.
How are you on tomato?
Oh, yeah.
Let me get you.
Oh, thank you.
There you go. A little bit of tomato. Cheese. And one of my favorite ingredients of all time, pickled jalapenos.
Make it a little spicy.
Just a wee bit for you there.
Can I give you a little hot sauce in your taco?
You sure can. How about some sour cream?
Yes, please.
All right, a little dollop, do you?
Now that is a gorgeous looking taco. Picture perfect.
It is. I love that crunchy and chewy tortilla. That's perfect. It's not brittle,
The meat has real flavor.
and it's still really tender.
Oh, the freshly fried tortilla. This would never have held up with a regular taco. It's not falling to pieces all over my shirt. Thank you, Bridget. These are amazing.
You bet.
So if you want to give Tacos Dorados a go, start by tossing 90% ground beef with baking soda. Sauté an onion along with some spices before adding the beef, then stir in a little shredded cheddar. Heat corn tortillas in the oven until they're just pliable, then fill, press closed, and fry until golden and crunchy. From America's Test Kitchen to your kitchen, a killer new recipe for Tacos Dorados. Thanks for watching America's Test Kitchen. What'd you think?
Well, leave a comment and let us know which recipes you're excited to make, or you can just say hello.
You can find links to today's recipes and reviews in the video description.
And don't forget to subscribe to our channel.
See you later.
I'll see you later.